Hi, so welcome to a special video. And today I'm going to be interviewing a good friend of mine, Frank. He's a natural health expert and researcher, a naturopath. He's been practicing since 2002. And I actually met Frank in 2008. And over the years, he's helped me a lot with my health and wellness and given me lots of advice, done lots of tests on me. So yeah, I've learned a lot from him over the years, and I'm still learning from him. So yes, I'd just like to interview him today, and I have some questions for him, things that I'm interested in myself. And yeah, so welcome, Frank. And thank you for having us in your abode. And I'd like to ask you as the first question how to move from the state of degeneration to regeneration, because I understand that for most of us, we're constantly degenerating, as we age, and our, systems are slowing down, getting less efficient, yeah, generally in that mode. And so, how do we shift that to regeneration?
Yeah, thank you, Jabeen, for being here. It's a pleasure to have you. And I think it's very important to understand this difference between regeneration and degeneration, because it's really the key to understand longevity. And there is an awful lack of information on this. Also the key to understand healing processes. And we are not taught these things anymore because our health system is infiltrated by the pharmaceutical industry, and we're working only symptom orientated. And normally a doctor should be able to tell you this difference between degeneration and regeneration. But in our age, this is not happening. In a sense, we're still in the Kali Yuga, where we're lacking knowledge, essential knowledge about life, about how life works and about how our body works, and how we can reach longevity. In the old ages, if you read the sacred text, you will find that there's Noah, who reached the age of 800, and Methuselah the age of 950. Nowadays, the whole living systems on the earth, they have degenerated, so we wouldn't be able to reach that age, but we could still reach an age of 140 and stay healthy. And to understand that, we need to understand that living systems are self-organizing in nature. I mean, the human system, or no matter where you look, all living systems are self-organizing, but certain parameters are needed, certain things are needed for a living system to self-organize, to regenerate. First of all, vital substances, and secondly, the right energy. We are surrounded by a field of pranic energy, and this is the energy we live by. And of course, the food that we eat is also the energy that we live by. And if you think that our body evolved within millions of years within nature, within natural systems, and nowadays we try to bypass that, and we use industrial products for food, and there's not the life in them, and there are not the vital substances that our cells need really to repair themselves, to heal themselves. So if you think that even organic products nowadays, they have 80% less vital nutrients, vitamins and minerals, than about 50 years ago, because our soils are degenerating. And it's not only our human system is degenerating, the Earth on a global scale. So first of all, we need to realize that, in fact, that what we normally do is not the right thing to really live long and stay healthy. And then understand that we need to replenish, give our cells the right food through wild food, for example, wild herbs, which contain about 30 times more nutrients, vital substances, than grown vegetables, and through juicing, for example. And then we can supply our system with a high level of nutrients, and and bring it to the alkaline terrain.
And where do superfoods come into all of this? And maybe including things like, raw cacao and, because there's been a big, superfood sort of, thing going on, for many years. And, what's your take on that?
Superfoods are really what we find in the fields. These are the superfoods because they grow in our environment and they are fresh if the field is not burdened by toxins. I mean, first of all, we have to get the main nutrition right. There's no point in taking superfoods if we eat no live food otherwise. I mean, we all need about between 30 and 70% raw food, depending on the season and the constitution, the individual constitution, and we need to avoid processed food and also cut out the stimulants.
So in that way, maybe raw cacao isn't the best thing because it's a stimulant on the system.
Coffee and cacao are stimulants. I mean, coffee and cacao, they're sacred plants. They are valuable plants, but they have been used for ceremonies. So they have a very strong energetic effect. And it's not something to use on a daily basis. It's something to use in a ceremony once a month, maybe, if you want to ground yourself or do something. But if you use them on a daily basis, you mess up your energy system and to create chaos in your energy system.
And what about sort of other superfoods as well, like maca and
some
other powders?
Some can be very, very valuable, but I think there's nothing like fresh, wild plant juices. If you go in your garden and you collect a bowl of nettle and you make a juice out of that, or any other herb or even grasses in your garden, you take that fresh juice. There's nothing like that. You can buy nothing like that.
And what would you say are the sort of environmental factors that affect the regeneration process?
I mean, it's another thing that I mentioned earlier. We are surrounded by pranic energy, and our first subtle body is the etheric body. It's like a blueprint for our cells to regenerate. And if this etheric body is in a field of negative energy, like if it's exposed to electromagnetic radiation, then it is causing chaos in our etheric body, and our cells cannot regenerate anymore because the blueprint is not really working properly. And so we need to make sure in our houses we are protected from electromagnetic radiation. So first of all, we have to look at our own source of radiation that we use in the house. To really get into regeneration, we cannot use things like Wi-Fi, and really have to cut down on mobile phone use.
Maybe using Ethernet is better than...
to use a wired internet connection with Ethernet cable. Because you have to think that when you sit on your laptop and it's on Wi-Fi, even within 3 meters from your laptop, you still have a radiation level of more than 300 microwatt per square meter, and that means your blood-brain barrier is open.
Oh, right.
Even when you're 3 meters from your mobile phone.
And what does that mean with the blood-brain barrier?
That means that the toxins in your blood, they enter the brain and nervous system. And that's cause number 1 for Alzheimer, for Parkinson's. We know that in the last 20 years, Alzheimer's has increased by 700 times. And that's mainly due to our use of high-frequency radiation devices.
And how if someone's living in a town and city where they're being irradiated, regardless whether they have their own Wi-Fi on or not, what would you say to them? What would you suggest?
The first steps is to be safe with your own devices, to minimize mobile phones use to about 5 minutes per day, or if you have to use it longer, there are certain devices that minimize the biological information of the radiation, but they cannot eradicate it. There's nothing that eradicates it. It can just minimize the biological impact.
Oh yes,
And
actually I know what you mean, because I've bought some of these from you actually.
Yeah, I'm testing these with bioresonance devices. I have them on my website, and that can minimize the impact, but it cannot eradicate it. That means you could use the phone maybe instead of 5, maybe maximum 15 minutes.
What about to drown out what's coming in from the outside?
That's another big factor, because we know that the mobile phone masts have a biological influence for about 20-kilometer radius. And so if you have that near your home, in a sense you can see how your own mobile phone reception is. If it's always at the limit and you hardly get reception, you're in a relatively good space. But if your reception is very good in your home, then you have a problem and you need to protect yourself. And we should not feel disempowered by that, because there are solutions there. For every problem there's a solution.
That's a good reminder actually. And is there anything that you would personally recommend or you sell yourself that could help with that?
There are canopies that are made with a silver fabric. They can shield 99.9% of high frequency radiation. And that is important for the sleep, because during the night our body regenerates the most, and if we have a safe place at night, then during the day we can tolerate a little bit of radiation.
That's good. I'm going to get one of
not too much. Anyway, but
that's and so what I was going to ask next is, like, if someone said to you, just tell me one thing, the one most single important thing, that's good to know, that will help the body shift to regeneration from degeneration. What would that one thing be?
I think the most important thing is the consciousness, to get an understanding of how your body works in relation to food, in relation with your environment, the interaction. We are all open systems. According to our medical paradigm, we are closed systems. But if you ask a quantum physicist, he will tell you there are no closed systems in the whole universe. So we are all in constant exchange with our environment. And to understand how it influences us, getting that consciousness and applying it, and then cleansing the body to a state that you really feel when you eat not good food, you feel the process of degeneration, that you come to a point where long before the symptom of a disease, you feel that there is a disbalance and you can counteract it. But to come to that place, you need to swim against the current. You need to cleanse yourself and free yourself from negative energies. And you get the sensitivity, how you actually feel, to be clear, and how it feels when the energies are flowing in your body.
Actually, that's a really good answer.
And then you really get to a point of self-responsibility.
And almost like, because Raphael talks about this, that actually knowing something is actually enough to kind of like, once we know something, it naturally integrates within us, and then we spontaneously make changes. It's like, our own body, we get guided to do certain things and so forth. So actually, understanding this and knowing this is actually enough, like our higher self can then step in and guide us, as to what to be doing. And
most of our choices are fear-based. I mean, the whole medical system operates fear-based, and they only look at the symptoms, and people go for it because they don't have the understanding, and often they are not willing to change. That's another factor. But once you have the understanding and you want to change, you can take everything in your own hand and be your own doctor.
Yeah, really good. And and finally, what can you personally offer people in terms of helping them with all of this?
In my consultations, I do bioresonance tests remotely. I just need a photograph, and I find out what are the weak points in a person. We have to consider that any disorder, any degeneration, or even a symptom of a disease, it always starts as a metabolic disturbance. That means in one part of the body, the cells do not receive enough nutrients and they cannot detox properly. So there's an accumulation of toxins, and this is the part which goes downhill, which degenerates. And with a bioresonance test, I can find out where are the problems, pinpoint to them, and look at other factors like parasites and heavy metals. They're also very important because, I mean, we all have parasites, and some people say we can peacefully coexist, but they do cause degeneration, and if we want to get well, we need to address that, and also the heavy metals, the toxins. So I can find that out and then give the person an idea what herbs to take, what changes to make to work with that.
Yeah, really good. And will you be sort of doing any courses or workshops or anything like that?
Yeah, well, hopefully if we find the right time and place, hopefully we do a retreat together maybe. And
oh yeah, I'd love that.
During the year, and
yeah.
I will also plan a regular nutrition course during summer, once a week for 1 or 2 hours to make people understand the field of nutrition, look into different nutritional teachings, the advantages, the disadvantages, and to make people understand what they need at a time, and about some general laws.
Yeah, so you've also written a book as well, and does that contain everything that we've just spoken about?
I call my work Life Processes. That's a book that was published in German that will be available in English in a few months. And it's really about understanding life within and around us. I think one of the key things is if people really appreciate life, they get a different relation to their food. If they don't just go for the taste, if they really appreciate the energy, the vital substances, it will change our choices, and we come from a ego-based decision which is only looking for sensual pleasure to something that is more holistic. And I mean, we don't have to force ourselves to eat food that we don't like, but it is in relation with cleansing ourselves, because when we energetically and physically get clear, we automatically enjoy good food. We get a sense and feeling for the energy, and we really appreciate that life that is given to us from the plant. And that's another thing I wanted to say.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, really good. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Frank. And we'll have this in the description below, a link to Frank's book, his website, and just say I would highly recommend a consultation with Frank, because it's been so helpful for me, and it's really, really helped me to sort of change things for the better in my life, and for my health and wellness. So thank you everyone for listening, and much love to everyone.